our elder brother and also the Minister of Information and Culture, His Excellency Alhaji Lai Mohammed, my colleague, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. William Allo, the representative of the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, two special assistants to His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, my colleagues, the CEOs from the Digital Economy Family, Executive Vice Chairman NCC, Professor Umar Garbadambata, Dr. Vincent Palatunji, National Commissioner, Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, Engineer Muhammad Tukul Lawal, Managing Director, Nigerian Communication Satellite, Postmaster General of the Federation, Honorable Sunday Adepoju, DG National Identity Management Commission, Engineer Abdul Aziz Aliyu, and also the CEOs from the Ministry of Information and Culture family, DG National Broadcasting Commission, DG NOAA, DG Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, and other CEOs here present, my colleagues from the ministry and the parastatals, ladies and gentlemen of the press, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. Good morning to all of you, and may peace, mercy, and blessings of the Almighty be upon you. Firstly, I begin by appreciating our elder brother and also our colleague, the Minister of Information and Culture, for his effort in organizing this President Muhammadu Buhari's administration scorecard. This effort is highly commendable, and I want to use the opportunity to appreciate him. He has been on my neck for a long period of time to be here, but it becomes absolutely difficult for us to agree on the date. Even this time around, we agreed on the date while he was outside Nigeria and I was also outside Nigeria. We cross-checked our calendar and we agreed that this program should take place today. After 2 days he was contemplating, he contacted me once again, and I insisted that I will do the best I can to be here. I am grateful to the Almighty that I'm here with you today for the series, and I hope you will forgive me for the time it has taken for us to agree on the date and time for this briefing. Furthermore, I want to make a small amendment that the presentation, because of time constraint and other factors, will focus more from August 2019 to January 2023. That is 42 months approximately. And by implication, the presentation will focus on around 50% of the tenure of our principal, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Furthermore, I will not be able to go through the slides. We have produced 82-page slides. If I am to go through all of them, it will take me 5 hours to cover all of them, there is no doubt. Because of this, I will urge the team from the Minister's office to liaise with my colleagues that are here. They will hand over the slides to them and also to the media team and representatives of other media stations or media houses. Because of this, I will only go superficially to maybe outline some of the major achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration from August 2019 to January 2023, approximately 42 months, and I do hope hope that the superficial discussion will make us to appreciate the gist of the presentation and also the achievements. In addition, going through history, the Ministry of Communications at the federal level was established in 2011. Furthermore, it was redesignated in October 2019 as the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. At that time in 2019, when I was appointed on the 21st August 2019, we had around 5 parastatals under the supervision of the ministry, starting with the National Information Technology Development Agency, Nigerian Communications Commission, Galaxy Backbone Limited, Nigerian Satellite, NISCOMSAT, Nigerian Satellite Company, and also Nigerian Postal Service. And there are 2 important subsidiaries. One is National Frequency Management Council, which has been established by NCA Act 2003, being chaired by the Minister in charge of Communications, and also Universal Service Provision Fund, which is being hosted by NCC, and it has also been established by NCA Act 2003. By October 2020, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari directed me to supervise the National Identity Management Commission. This brings the total number to 6. And also in February 2022, he approved the establishment of another institution which has been named as the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, and that one was also brought under our humble supervision. So all in all, we have 7 parastatals and 2 subsidiaries. So the presentation to be made will accommodate all the policies developed by the ministry, supervised by it, and being implemented by these 7 parastatals and 2 subsidiaries. Furthermore, in order to make the presentation much easier, our elder brother has earlier briefed media, and I personally watched it, that His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to engage independent consultants to evaluate the performance of each and every ministry and its parastatal and all our sectors of the economy. This was done through engaging Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office in the United Kingdom and also KPMG in collaboration with OSGF. They evaluated, and the scorecard was presented during the last ministerial retreat in the State House on the 17th and 18th of October 2022 in the presence of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshimbajo, President of the Senate and Speaker, among other senior government officials from the executive and the legislative. I will go through the scorecard briefly, which to me is much easier than to present our evaluation. Because if I'm here to present our performance, it could look somehow suspicious. A situation where you write an examination and you mark your examination and you grade yourself and you assign a grade to yourself, then it becomes difficult. So I think it is better for me to be the student writing the exam and allow another independent organization to evaluate. And if I'm evaluated, then this is better for me to present rather than to present it based on my independent and personal assessment of my effort. In addition, when I explain this, I will be able to go through some of the major initiatives of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari in the digital economy sector that led us to where we are today. When we took over as ministers, Beside our swearing in on the 21st August 2019, we were assigned certain priority areas and deliverables. Some 6, some ministries 7, some 8, some even 9. In our own case, we were given 8 priority areas, 8 major deliverables. And we were given the baseline where the sector was when we took over. That will guide the government to be able to assess our performance by making reference to the baseline and also where we are. These priority areas are 8. We have been assessed by these independent consultants of Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, KPMG, in collaboration with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. With all sense of humility, in the digital economy sector, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, based on this independent assessment, obtained A+ in each and every priority area. And I will go through briefly. Number 1, as we all know, based on their standard, 70% from your baseline is A. So from 70 to any point is A. Number 1 priority area given by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari for us to implement on his behalf, because the work we are doing is not for ourselves, but rather for His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari. We are only his appointees. So by implication, any appointee is implementing the mandate of the one who has appointed him. So under number 1 is to ensure broadband penetration in Nigeria. Under broadband penetration in Nigeria, based on that independent assessment, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari obtained 134%. By implication, 54% more than the baseline of A. 64% more than the baseline of A, because from 70% to 134%, from the baseline of A, we got additional 64%. Number 2 is to execute a strategy for 4G deployment in Nigeria. This is the second one. Under the second one is 127%. So by implication, it's also 57% more than the baseline of A. And also, number 3 is to develop policy that will guide towards the digitalization of government processes, functions, among others. Under that one is 99%. And number 4 also is to develop the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy and implement it. Under that one, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari obtained 103%. Number 5 also is to support the enrollment of national identity in Nigeria. Under that one, he obtained 86%. And also, number 6, to increase, to optimize revenue generation through our licensees and others. Under that one, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari in the digital economy sector obtained 594%. 594%. Number 7 also is to partner with the private sector and create many more jobs for our citizens. Under that one, he obtained 111%. And number 8, which is the final one, is our empowerment of our citizens, particularly the policy statement made by His Excellency President Buhari of lifting out 100 million Nigerians out of poverty by 2030. Under that one, on his behalf, we obtained 137%. So these are the 8 priority areas of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari's administration in the digital economy sector, based on the independent assessment of a Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and KPMG in collaboration with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. That aside, furthermore, let me make an attempt briefly to explain what we have implemented in the sector on behalf of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari that brought about this success and this performance based on these independent assessors. Starting with the broadband penetration, what is most important, we have taken some steps before we commence the implementation of these priority areas. Firstly, when we took over, the ministry was named as the Ministry of Communications. We studied the mandate of the ministry, the activities of the ministry and its parastatals. We discovered at that time most of the functions and policies were obsolete, not up to global best practice. It is because of this we sent a proposal to His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, firstly to redesignate the ministry, secondly to amend the mandate of the ministry and its parastatals. His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari approved our request on the 17th October 2019. Secondly, the amendment was presented before the Federal Executive Council on the 23rd October 2019, and we commenced the implementation on 24th October 2019. And this is why the federal government has redesignated the 24th October of each and every year to be the Digital Nigeria Day. After that, we developed the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria. That policy was developed by assembling a team of experts from public institutions and private institutions. We brought together government officials, industry players, and academia to work together to produce a policy that will support the development of our indigenous digital economy. That policy was developed and it was launched and unveiled by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari on the 28th November 2019 at the International Conference Center here in Abuja. And it is from 17 October that the ministry has been redesignated to be named as the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economies. And what is important for us to realize, the entire credit of developing the digital economy will forever go to His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari in the history of Nigeria. He established the pioneer Ministry of Digital Economy. He developed the first ever National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, and he diversified the economy of our country through the implementation of that National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. In 2019, built up to 2019 election, no candidate was talking about digital economy in Nigeria. But today, the way the sector is being developed and the contribution of the sector to our economy, if you look at the manifesto and the blueprint of each and every politician, in respect of his party affiliation, you will discover there is a section that is discussing about digital economy. Now it even becomes part of campaign that Nigerians will not agree that you have any plan of developing economy without mentioning digital economies. But in 2019, there was nothing like that. But today, each and every politician at higher level, in respect of party affiliation, you will discover this is my plan for digital economy. Some will mention blockchain technology, some will mention artificial intelligence, some will bring about robotics. But what is interesting, all what they have mentioned as their blueprint, in respect of party affiliation, none of them is not being implemented today by President Muhammad Buhari. None of them. There is not any single proposal that we have reviewed from the blueprint that is not being implemented. Some of them, we have even implemented them 100%. Some of them have been implemented, but still, why? Now, Nigerians understand the value of digital economy. And there is no doubt, history will be very kind and generous to our principal for being the grand patron and the pioneer of digital economy in the history of Nigeria. In addition, in the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria, there are 8 pillars, and I will go through them briefly. Pillar number 1 is developmental regulation. Pillar number 2, digital skills and literacy. Pillar number 3 is solid infrastructure. Pillar number 4 is service infrastructure. Pillar number 5 is digital services development and promotion. Pillar number 6 is soft infrastructure. Pillar number 7 is digital society and emerging technologies. Pillar number 8 is indigenous content development and promotion. These are the 8 pillars we have developed in order to ensure the development of indigenous digital economy in Nigeria. And all these pillars are being implemented today. The baseline in 2019, we inherited only one policy in the entire ICT sector in Nigeria, only one valid national policy. But today, we have a minimum of 19 national policies that are being implemented. The umbrella policy is the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy with acronym of INDEX. The acronym is INDEX. So I will continue to make reference to INDEX in order to save time. But in an attempt to implement all these pillars, 8 pillars, we develop other policies in order to cascade and make it easier for government parastatals and the private sector to implement the policies. We have around 19 national policies that have been implemented. But in 2019, we inherited only one. And even that one was developed by the support of the Republic of Korea. While today, the 19 national policies, at least 18 of them have been developed completely locally, while one of them we developed it in collaboration with other international organizations. So number 1, we have the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria. Number 2, we have the roadmap for the implementation of our index. Number 3, we have Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020-2025. Number 4, we have the national policy for the promotion of indigenous content in the telecommunications sector. Number 5, we have the Number 6, we have the National Revised NIN and SIM Registration Policy. Number 7, we have the National Policy on Communication Satellite. Number 8, we have the National Policy on 5G for Nigeria's digital economy. Number 9, we have National Policy on Device Management System. Number 10, we have National Policy on Visa installation for Nigerians. Number 11, we have National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Policy. Number 12, we have National Top Government Level Domain. Number 13, also, we have Nigeria Startup Act 2022, which is now a full legislation. Then number 14, also, we have National Policy for Digital ID for IDPs. Number 15, also, we have National Policy for Virtual Engagements in the federal public institutions. Number 16, we have the rule-making process of Nigerian Postal Services. Number 17, we have National Policy on Child Safety Online Protection. Number 18, we have Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which became Nigeria Data Protection Policy yesterday and being transmitted to the National Assembly immediately for integrating it to a full legislation. And also, the last but not the least, we have the National Policy for the Management of the National Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Center. So All these 19 national policies, all of them are being implemented today. No single policy that has been left aside. All of them are being implemented. Let me go back to the 8 priority areas and explain them briefly. What are the initiatives that we attain this result on behalf of our principal President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR? Number 1 is about the broadband penetration in Nigeria, which His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari obtained 134%. At the time I was appointed and assigned to supervise the sector, there wasn't any policy for broadband penetration. The policy that was earlier developed in 2013 expired in 2018. So from 2018 to 2019, there was a vacuum, 1 year without any valid policy. So we developed the Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020-2025 with certain priorities. There are 4 pillars in that one. Pillar number 1 is infrastructure. Pillar number 2 is policy demand. Pillar number 3 is incentives. Pillar number 4 is about policy intervention. These are the 4 pillars of the Nigerian National Broadband Plan. The target of the plan at that time was to ensure a minimum penetration over 90-70% by 2025, and also to ensure 25 MB per second in our cities and a minimum of 10 MB per second in our rural communities. At the time we developed the policy, the average price of 1 gigabyte of data, based on the report submitted to us by the Nigerian Communications Commission, was 1,200 naira per gigabyte. But as at the end of November 2022, the average price of 1 gigabyte of data was 350 naira. From 1,200 to 350 naira. So the whole plan was by 2025 is to bring the price of 1 gigabyte of data to 390. But we attained 350, 40 naira less than the target of 2025 by October, November 2022. And I will ask you a question with all sense of humility. From COVID-19 to date, tell me one sector that the price of being services being provided has not in any way been increased outside the digital economy sector. Tell me one sector in Nigeria, in Africa, that the price has not been increased significantly. You have a car, you sometimes patronize Uber, you know what the price is. If you travel from here to Kano to Kaduna, from here to Lagos, you know how it is today. Why? Because of inflation, COVID-19, and even the tension in Europe between some countries, which is affecting even the global economy, not only Nigeria. In some situations, the price of certain services being provided, either purchasing ticket or anything, increased by 200%. But in the digital economy sector, it has been reduced by more than 65%. And we are also affected by all the challenges that other sectors are complaining about. For example, only this week I had a meeting with some stakeholders. Part of our meeting, in Nigeria almost every day in our sector, we are managing 32,800 generators. 32,800. Look at the quantity. Only one company that is consuming 1 million liters of oil every day. That is IHS. Every day they consume 1 million liters of oil. We are affected by forex, but yet, due to some initiatives, we were able to reduce and manage the cost of production, and by implication, that brought the price lower. Because the only way you can bring the price lower is to ensure that you bring down the cost of production. Because you cannot compel any company to operate at loss. But if you bring down the cost of production, then by implication, the services being provided will also be brought down. So the baseline of broadband penetration in 2019 was 33% in Nigeria, meaning 67% was without broadband. We developed some initiatives in implementing the Nigerian National Broadband Plan, and we also think out of the box. How can we ensure broadband penetration in Nigeria within the time frame? Part of our effort, we engage even Starlink, SpaceX of Elon Musk, and also the Starlink. After a very long discussion, at the end of it, the federal government, through the Nigerian Communications Commission, granted operational license to Starlink to operate in Nigeria. In December 2022, I was in San Francisco representing the federal government to finalize the agreement. So I was in the US with some government officials. We finalized the agreement. Nigeria happens to be the first African country to have the services of SpaceX and Starlink. It's the first ever African country. Out of 54, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari happens to be the first country to attract Starlink into Africa. Now Starlink is in Nigeria. Based on the report I have received through Starlink, from Starlink through one of my aides, Dr. Femi Adelui, who is here with us, today, if you have the disk of Starlink, the dish immediately, wherever you are in Nigeria, you will be able to access broadband services. So with this, any part of Nigeria you are, as long as you deploy the facilities, the services are there. So by implication with this, we can safely say, with Starlink in Nigeria, today we have 100% broadband penetration in Nigeria. Furthermore, because of time constraint, let me go to the second priority area. That is the 4G penetration in the country. When I took over as the minister then, the entire base station of 4G, the total number was around 13,823. By implication, less than 14,000. But as at November 2022, we increased the total number of base stations to over 39,000. This is only within a period of 3 years and few months. We increased. And by implication, the penetration of 4G in Nigeria from 2019, which was 23%, today is more than 77%. And that is why the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari obtained 127% based on an independent assessment of KPMG and FCDO. So we have catapulted 4G from 33% to more than 77%. And this is within 3 years and not more than 3 months. And this speed of penetration has never happened from the deployment of 1G, 2G, 3G, up to 4G in Nigeria. And part of our modest effort on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari also, which was not part of the priority areas, was the deployment of 5G. 5G has been deployed today in Nigeria. His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the policy on 25th January 2022, which is approximately 1 year today. NCC, the National Frequency Management Council, being chaired by the Minister of Communications, handed over 2 spectrums of 5G to NCC for auctioning. NCC conducted a very transparent auctioning in which 2 winners emerged. Both of them commenced the deployment of 5G in Nigeria today. We have 5G in a minimum of 8 states, and by the end of December, we had 5G in a minimum of 225 sites in the country. Only 2 days ago, the second winner also commenced the deployment of 5G. And there are so many benefits of 5G. Revenue generation for government, economic development, helping our security institutions, among many other benefits. There are uncountable benefits of 5G today if managed effectively. So today we have 5G, which is completely outside the priority areas given to us. And we have increased revenue generation for government through the deployment of 5G, which I hope to speak on in some of the priority areas in the future. For example, in the US, based on a report and research conducted by Boston Consulting Limited, that the deployment of 5G in the US alone will increase the GDP, gross domestic product of the US, by a minimum of 1.4 trillion USD to around 1.7 trillion USD, only 5G. And there is a high probability that 5G will create a minimum of around 3.6 million new jobs to around 4.6 million new jobs in the US. And it is the same in Nigeria. If you look at the low latency, the high quality of broadband, among many others. And 5G will support our security institutions if they deploy and use it effectively. Because most of the operations today of security are being conducted through technology. Most of their systems require technology to function, whether computer system, command system, communication system, control system, whether intelligence system or information system or surveillance system or connaissance system. Each and every system you deploy in security today requires technology. And the most effective technology when it comes to communication is 5G. And 5G allows real-time communications, or almost real-time communications. So with this, you can be able to deploy many technologies to help our security institutions to conduct security operations without unnecessarily endangering their lives physically. Technology can do many functions of security today. This takes me to the third one, that is to develop policies that will guide the digitalization of government functions and processes. Some of the major initiatives of our President Muhammadu Buhari here, in which, based on the independent assessment, the administration obtained 99%. Some of the major initiatives in November 2019, immediately we commissioned a world-class national e-government center in Bua, in Public Institute. That center was attracted through a grant, free grant by the Korea Republic. They spent huge amount of money to support our effort, and they have established a world-class national e-government training center. And we introduced many trainings for our government officials, both civil and public servants, at various levels. Providing high-level training, we have trained over 1,400 government officials. Some of them within the country, some of them travel to the Republic of Korea for training. Some of them even obtain MSc and PhD in e-governance. Some of them are still there. And all these support, scholarship and many more came to government for free. Secondly, part of our initiatives is also the implementation of NICTIP 2. NICTIP 1 has been implemented by the previous administration, which covers Southwest, South, and Southeast, while NICTIP 2 was left in the pipeline. This administration commenced the implementation of NICTIP 2 to cover the northern states and few other states that have not benefited from NICTIP 2, NICTIP 1 in the southern part of the country. So all of them are being covered by federal government broadband today, laying fiber optics for federal government of Nigeria. As at today, We have covered a minimum of around 28 out of 36 states in Nigeria. In addition, only on the 20th of December 2022, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari has commissioned the National Shared Service Center. National Shared Service Center here in central area in Abuja. We were with him during the commissioning. And the project was implemented by Galaxy Backbone Limited, which is another parastatal of government. In that project, government spent over 10 billion naira. But what is most important, this center and the amount was generated through internally generated revenue. The entire amount was through IGR. In this National Shared Service Center, there are so many facilities, including data center, cybersecurity center, training center, data management center, among many others. And also the center will host some government officials, government civil servants, particularly the officials under Galaxy Backbone Limited. Furthermore, by 30th and 31st of January 2023, meaning early next week, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari could also be in Kano in order to commission another data center, Tier 4 data center in Kano. Today in Africa, to the best of our knowledge, there is no any data center that is over and above the Tier 4 data center we have in Kano today. Outside Abuja, it is the first ever data center in northern Nigeria with that capacity. This is part of our effort in order to ensure the digitalization of government functions and services and processes, as the case may be. You cannot digitalize government without data centers. You need to know where to keep your data. In addition to cloud computing facilities we have backup of cloud computing facilities also in Nigeria today. Part of the effort of President Muhammad Buhari's administration when it comes to digitalization of government services is the development and implementation of the national policy for virtual engagements in the federal public institution. Before the development of this policy, virtual engagements in Nigeria were not formal and official. It is only with the development of this national policy in October 2020 that virtual engagements, virtual meetings and others have been institutionalized and formalized in Nigeria. Prior to that, they were informal. But today, they have been formalized. To the extent that government has been saving huge amount of money through the implementation of this policy. Many meetings take place today virtually. And even at the Federal Executive Council, we introduced the first ever administration to introduce virtual meetings. From the time we introduced virtual meetings in early 2020 to the last meeting we conducted late 2022, we managed successfully 108 Federal Executive Council meetings. 108. And throughout history, from the first one to 108, there wasn't any security breach. And many criminals make effort during our meeting to compromise. There was a time that we had a virtual meeting. In the process of having virtual meeting, there were 66 attempts in order to hack the system and compromise it, in order to embarrass government. None of them was successful. In fact, there was a day we intercepted over 160 attempts in order to hack the system and penetrate and embarrass government. None of them was successful. And most of the attacks came from Europe. We had to inform the country where the attacks were coming from. We conducted 108. Now we resume fully for physical Federal Executive Council. By our meeting yesterday, it was the first one where we attended the meeting physically. So we conducted 108 virtual meetings. None of them was compromised by cyber criminals. In addition to National Economic Council meetings, many of them took place. In addition to Security Council meetings, many of them took place, where all the former heads of state were invited from their location, and we coordinated all the meetings, some from Mina, from Ogun, from Plateau, anywhere. We connected all the meetings, and none of them was compromised by cyber criminals. Through IT project clearance of the National Information Technology Development Agency, we have approved the implementation of and the automation of over 1,600 government projects in Nigeria. And all of them are dealing with the automation. That is why you'll discover some of them in the Central Bank of Nigeria, some in Federal Inland Revenue, some in Corporate Affairs Commission, some of them in Customs Services, some of them in the National Communications Commission, some of them at Galaxy Backbone Limited. All these government institutions, you will discover that we have approved the most important processes and functions to be implemented virtually or to be automated. A minimum of 1,600. Through the process, we have saved federal government over 47 billion naira. Because of time constraint, let me go to the priority area number 4. That is the development and implementation of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria. I explained that earlier. I don't need to go back to it and speak on it extensively. The policy has been developed and it is now being implemented. In the course of its implementation, a lot has been achieved. Most importantly, if you look at the way the contribution of ICT to GDP is increasing, the administration of President Muhammad Buhari has set 3 unprecedented records of ICT contribution to GDP in Nigeria. The first one in the first quarter of 2020. We set a new record of 14.07%. At that time, ICT has never contributed that. The second one in the second quarter of 2021, ICT contributed 17.92% to our GDP. It's another new record. And last year, we set another new record. In the second quarter of 2022, ICT contributed 18.44% to our GDP. It's another new record. All of them are new records, and they are unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. And for your information, this is only the contribution of ICT sector, not digital. Sector is only a subset of digital economies. By implication, when we say ICT, we are only mentioning only one part of the digital economy, because according to the World Economic Forum, there are 2 components of digital economy. One is ICT sector and 2 digital services. Today, digital services are not computed and being added to the ICT sector. If that is to be done, there is no doubt the contribution of digital economy in Nigeria will not be less than 40% today. But this one is only the ICT sector alone, without accommodating digital services. Digital services, all the e-commerce online are part of digital services. All online financial transactions are digital services. The fintech you have today, the online banking is part of digital services. Any financial transaction that cannot be conducted without internet, then it's part of our digital services. So all this not being added to the digital economy. This is only the ICT sector alone, which is even could be lower than the digital services. So the policy has been developed by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari and is also being implemented. Number 5 is to support the national identity in Nigeria. Under the support of national identity in Nigeria, as you all know, NIMSI was not under our supervision till in October 2020. His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari directed me to supervise NIMSI. So NIMSI was established in 2007. So from 2007 to 2020 October, DG NIMSI, what was the enrollment from 2007 to 2020 October? The DG said was around 39 million. The entire enrollment of NIMSI in 13 years from its establishment was 39 million. From 2007 to October 2020. But from October 2020 to 15th of January 2023, less than what? Only 2 years and how many months? And around 3 months. We catapulted the enrollment from 39 million in 13 years to 95 million in 2 years and 3 months. And this, we achieved this without any major intervention. We were using the obsolete infrastructure. Only of recent, the federal government has approved the new condition of service of NIMSI, and Mr. President has approved certain amount for NIMSI to replace some infrastructure. But we achieved this without any financial support. I was only contacting some international bodies to support us through their corporate social responsibility, even to buy new computers for NIMSI staff to enroll our citizens. But we were able to look at it from 39 million in 13 years to more than 95 million. And this, what is the addition? We achieved more than 56 million in 2 years and 3 months, while we inherited 39 in 13 years. And if you go through history, when NIMSI was established, there was a time that many government officials were detained because government released billions when NIMSI was established for enrollment, and nothing was achieved. Go and check it. I don't want to mention names. Many people were detained. Why? Because money was released and they couldn't use it. Only 39 million in 13 years. But we increased more than 56 million in 2 years and only 3 months. And I do hope soon we will hit 1 million. So with this more than 95 million, only 3 African countries have more than 95 million citizens: Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt. So by implication, with 95 million citizens in our database, if we are in any African countries, remaining 51 African countries outside these 3, so we have covered the population 100%. Only 3 countries in Africa are more than 95 million people: Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt. But all the remaining are less than that. This is another very important achievement of President Muhammad Buhari's administration, which is indeed very critical, because there is no any responsible country in the world without its own digital ID. In the US, they have social security number. In the UK, they have national insurance number. In Saudi, they have their Iqama number. In India, with their population of 1.3 to 1.4 billion people, they have Aadhaar number. No any responsible country without a form of digital ID or their form of identification. Is key for our education, key for our health, key for our national development, key for our budget. Whatever you do, you need to have an effective national database that will guide government to take an informed decision and implement it. But without, you cannot do anything. We live in a situation where we are estimating our population with plus minus 10 million. This cannot be tolerated. So, and by having this national database, it will support security institutions, even in the course of their investigation. That is why when we reintroduced the enrollment and the enforcement, there was agitation, intimidation from everywhere, attacking us, but we resisted. And now it becomes history. Why? Because criminals fought back. They engage people from civil societies, some of them from media, just to blackmail us. Why? Because of that. But we resisted. and His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari stood by us, and now is history. Many felt that even when they failed to verify their NIN and SIM, their SIM will not be blocked. So where are they today? When a policy is important to our country, we don't care about any intimidation. We will enforce it. Blackmail cannot stop us, as long as it's important. The only thing that can make us to change our position is to convince us it is either illegal, illegitimate, or is harmful. In that situation, without any argument, we will step back. But if it is important, we cannot change our position by intimidation. We cannot be intimidated. I said it, I repeat it, and we still maintain it. But prior to our effort, this administration did not introduce NIN and SIM. NIN and SIM decision was introduced in 2011. But because of blackmail and intimidation, it was not implemented. It was reintroduced in 2013, not implemented. In 2018, it was introduced, not implemented. When I was about to introduce it in 2020, I was advised, you will be attacked, you will be intimidated and say there's no problem. We are willing to pay any price in serving our country. So today we have more than 95 million citizens in our database in Nigeria. Let's assume we have sufficient funds in NIMS. It will be something else today. But we are comfortable with the support, the moral support of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari to go where we are today. Number 6, the next one is to enhance revenue generation. Under the enhancement of revenue generation, based on the independent assessment of FCDO and KPMG, we attain this by 594%. Look at it. From the baseline, we attain 594%. Federal Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and KPMG verified all our remittance to government from the sector, directly from our institutions, and others being supervised by the ministry and the parastatal being remitted through another institutions. We increased quarterly revenue generation from 51 billion naira quarterly to more than 408 billion naira. From 51 billion to more than 408 billion. This is only in 3 months. So this is what brought about an increase of 594% in revenue generation. Through blocking leakages, introducing new policies that will make the sector more profitable, that will make it more effective, and that will make the sector to continue to be the key enabler of all other sectors of our economy in Nigeria. And this is the situation today. At the time we were about to conduct even the auctioning of 5G, some advised assign it through administratively. We resisted. And we did through auctioning. Look at the amount generated only from 5G today. That is why His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, when there was an effort to introduce excise duty in the telecommunications sector, we explained to him the dangers that this would have on the sector. He immediately approved the suspension. And he says anything that would bring unnecessary hardship to our citizens will not be tolerated. That is what stopped the plan of introducing excise duty in the telecommunications sector, because there was no any need. A sector that increased revenue generation from 51 billion to more than 408 billion, and you want to introduce more burden on it, then it doesn't make sense. That is why His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari said we cannot accept that. And he approved its suspension. And now it has been suspended. All efforts to bring it back has been halted. Number 7 is also to collaborate with the private sector in order to create many more jobs for our citizens. This is where the administration obtained 111%. And based on our assessment within the parastatals we supervise, we have created new jobs, 2.2 million new jobs in Nigeria in the last 3.5 years. 2.2. And in this regard, we documented all the statistics. 2.2 million jobs within the digital economy sector. Don't forget the negative effect of COVID-19. Don't forget Russia-Ukraine crisis. Don't forget other factors. And part of the implementation of the executive order, which was signed by the then acting president, the current vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, on the 1st May 2017, and the presidential order signed by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari on 12 February 2018. These two executive orders have mandated government institutions to prioritize our indigenous content in deploying any technology, in patronizing any product. And we should also prioritize Nigerians when it comes to engagement for contract or any other activities. In the course of its implementation, we have achieved a lot. There is no time to elaborate. But when I was assigned to supervise the sector, there was a time that only one Nigerian was a CEO among the major operators in Nigeria. As at last year, we had to compare the operators. We reached a situation that all their CEOs were Nigerians. They appointed Nigerians as their chief executive officers. Only one of the major operators that wanted to replace a Nigerian with another candidate from Asia, we resisted. We say we have Nigerians that will serve as CEOs here. So why bring in somebody from somewhere? So they had to negotiate and elevated a Nigerian to be the CEO of Africa in charge of 54 countries before we allow somebody from Asia to be a CEO of Nigeria. So by implication, we have been integrated as well. But previously, it was not implemented. And number 8 also, empowerment for our citizens. We obtained 137% on behalf of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. That is, the empowerment is 137% based on the independent assessment. The empowerment, we have so many initiatives. We introduced what we call Digital Nigeria. Through Digital Nigeria, we lobbied for so many opportunities for our citizens to benefit from. In October 2022, we signed an MOU with Microsoft Corporation to train 5 million Nigerians for free and to provide cutting-edge digital skills for them, high-demand digital skills for them. We have also introduced 1 million developers that His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled on the 20th of December 2022, in which we plan to develop 1 million developers in Nigeria. Why? Because skills are key today. If you want to develop your economy globally, you have to prioritize skills. But in Nigeria today, we are more interested in worshiping certificates. But globally today, skills are being recognized. I am not undermining certificates, as I have many of them. But certificates that are not overloaded with skills, they are of no value. Through skills exportation, India produced the Vice President of the United States of America. Through the exportation of skills, India today produced the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Why is through skills, not certificate? Through certificate, you cannot do that. You cannot take your PhD and become there just by having PhD, but through your skills. So we are not undermining skills. But what is important, skill certificates must be overloaded with skills. And we must prioritize that. It is this initiative that brought about many policies of government that we are implementing today. And our effort is yielding a positive result. In 2018, this administration participated in a competition in United Arab Emirates Gulf Information Technology Exhibition, and Nigeria emerged as the global best in artificial intelligence. October 2022, we also participated, and Nigeria emerged as the global best by defeating over 700 other contestants all over the world. And today, we have around 7 to 8 unicorns in Africa. Unicorn is a startup that has a market value of a minimum of 1 billion USD. Out of these 7, 5 of them originated from Nigeria in Africa. From 54 countries, 5 of them originated from these countries. And I'm sorry to say, 4 out of 5, minimum of 4 out of 5, attained the position of unicorn under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. So there are many success stories. It's for you media people to promote. But in our country, we are so much addicted to negative news. We ignore the good news, the progress being made in our country. This administration is currently building a 12 billion naira National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center here in Abuja. And now the work is almost 70 to 80% completion. And we have National ICT Park, the first ever. In addition to so many interventions, from start to finish, of projects and programs, in the last 3.5 years, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has commenced and implemented over 2,600 programs, projects, and interventions in Nigeria. Recently, the administration approved the establishment of 8 national digital economy centers all over the country, a minimum of 1 per geopolitical zone. And now they have been implemented under the Nigerian Communications Commission, while the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center is under the National Information Technology Development Agency. And this administration has also commenced the process of acquiring a new satellite to complement the Nigerian communication satellite that we already have. And Nigerian communication satellite has also been implementing our national policy on visa installation for our citizens. And we have conducted this training in each and every geopolitical zone of Nigeria. And these programs are being sponsored by government for free. Our citizens are being given all the facilities for free, are being trained for free, and they are being provided with seed funding for free by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. End of last year, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari has also approved to provide unlimited internet to staff and students in phase 1 only in 18 higher institutions of learning, 17 universities and 1 college of education. The project now is ongoing in University of Lagos. The project is ongoing in FCT Oyo, and the digital economy sector is being constructed, for example, in University of Ibadan, and also University of Insuka is a beneficiary, University of Port Harcourt is a beneficiary, Federal University of Technology Owerri is a beneficiary, University of Abuja is a beneficiary, for example, Bayero University of Kano is a beneficiary, ABU Dari is a beneficiary, Borno State University is a beneficiary, Federal University of Technology, Mina is a beneficiary, among many other institutions. And we have commenced not only the process but the implementation of providing unlimited broadband for free in 20 markets in Nigeria. This one in phase 1 only. The project has commenced in 19 markets today in Nigeria. Free internet for our people in their markets, free, in order to support innovation-driven enterprises. 19, as I'm talking to you today, 19 markets we have reached advanced stage. Out of the 20, even the one pending, the delay is not from us, it's from the market officials. And this is phase 1. Phase 2 is in the pipeline. We plan to also, in phase 2, to repeat the same number, or very similar to the same number. If we can afford, we can even increase the number. And all this, we plan to complete all of them before the end of May 2023. There are no more ongoing projects. But these projects are going to be complemented and to be commissioned, God's willing, by the end of May 2023. We have established the first ever world-class National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics in Africa. It is after the establishment of this one, many other African countries today are established. The first ever world-class National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, where our citizens are being provided with skills on artificial intelligence and robotics. This is just some of the major initiatives of this administration in the last 3.5 years. There are so many things to say, but the facilitator has been reminding me to shut down my lecture and clear the screen and stop here. So the lecture or the presentation or the briefing has been shut down by presenting the independent assessment of Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and KPMG. Now is for you to also evaluate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. They said it takes a very successful personality to lead very successful people. For me, it was an excellent presentation with a Professor Doria energy. Let's give the Honorable Minister an applause. Before we just move straight into the question and answer section, let me welcome the Director General, National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari, to this platform. I welcome you. Also with us, the Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Malam Abdulhamid Salihu Dembos is with us too. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we know that it is part of the functions of the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy to build a digitally skilled nation that will be able to compete with the technological driven economies around the world. We've all listened to the presentation of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. But I know communication is said to be effective if the sender of a message and the receiver of that message agrees without any contradictions. Because to every action, there is always a reaction. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the media, apart from information, education, and the entertainment function, they set agenda on matters of public interest. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are moving straight into the question and answer segment. Please, we have a protocol. If you are recognized to speak, you tell us the name, the media organization you are representing. And please restrict your questions or your comments to the issues addressed by the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy in his presentation. Let us be decent enough in the use of language. Let us avoid any distractive conversation that could distort the flow of communication. I want to thank you for your readiness to cooperate with us. At this point, I want to declare the floor open for your questions, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take the first 5. If time permits, we'll take another round. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please the microphone to the first person.
Honorable Minister.
Please, the Honorable Minister says he would rather take each question, answer the question, then the next another question will come. So please, he will depart a bit from the normal system where we we ask all the questions and he takes all the he gives all the answers. So please go ahead.
Honorable Minister, my name is Yusuf Ali. I work with the Nation newspaper. I want to join others to congratulate you for making presentation of the Prof in an excellent manner. Ordinarily, we should discharge and acquit you, but you have also attacked us, I mean members of the press. We have taken it in good faith. My question is about, I want you to clarify this misconception about amendment to NIDA Act. Is this really meant to stifle NCC or strip NCC of its basic responsibilities? Probably because you were once a DG of NITDA, and you probably saw merit in what NITDA was doing than NCC. You must have heard about all this impression, but it's necessary for Nigerians to know what the nation stands to gain from amendment to NIDA Act. Thank you.
No, one after the other, please.
So it's better for me to respond to each and every question. Thank you very much, our brother Yusuf Ali from the Nation, and I'm glad that you have exonerated me from attacking. You earlier indicted me and you exonerated me. So thank you very much for exonerating me. Secondly, with regards to the amendment of the NIDA Act 2007, there is no doubt there is an ongoing amendment of the NIDA Act. Secondly, is there any effort to deny NCC its power? Certainly not. There is nothing like that. Thirdly, going through history, when I became a minister in August 2019, I invited the DG NITDA and also the Executive Vice Chairman NCC for a meeting. Part of our discussion with both of them at the Federal Secretariat, we unanimously had an agreement that both acts needed to be amended, for NCC and for NITDA, both of them. After the meeting, I put why. Firstly, there were many efforts from other ministries and institutions of government to come up with new parastatals, and these new parastatals, if you look at them, they were being proposed in order to cover new advancement in ICT, while the two acts failed to address. My elder brother is a bear witness. There was a time a bill was brought to the Executive Council to enact a new national agency for artificial intelligence. Another one was brought for a new national agency on robotics. There was a colleague that proposed to bring a new national agency for the development of a telecommunication generation. That is the advancement in 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. His argument was very clear. NITDA Act, NCC Act only address not more than 1G or 2G. If you look at even 4G, it's not in NITDA Act.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center.
To ensure that they cover 2019 to NIDA and to NCC. EBC is here. He will be permitted to comment on it. I sent the letter to both of them. And in the letter, I clearly stated that they should work together so that there will not be any conflict or overlap of their mandate.
You to make good choices. Say to yourself, I'm going to play by the rules. Make a personal commitment to develop and bulletproof your personal ethical code of conduct. You must really want it. As long as you require outside intervention to stay ethical, you won't develop self-discipline. Tip 2. Learn the rules. Clarify what you will and will not do. Educate yourself so that you will not make ignorant mistakes. Rules, policies, regulations, and standard operating procedures can be overwhelming, but you must resolve that you will never make an ethical decision without knowing what the rules are. Become comfortable with asking your supervisor, legal counsel, or ethics officer for help.
On how to fight fake news and hate speeches. I want to admit that this is officially outside my mandate, but rather it is the mandate of the Minister of Information and Culture and the parastatals he supervises. Yesterday, we discussed the same issue with him. Fake news is part of information. Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and its parastatals, all of them do not in any way regulate content online. Content has nothing to do with us. Content online can be categorized into 3. None of them is under our supervision. Content number 1, fake news and hate speeches. This is under my elder brother, Alhaji Lai Muhammad. Illegal content, any illegal content is under the mandate of Minister of Justice and Attorney General. While criminal content, which has been addressed by Cybercrime Act 2015, is 100% under the Office of the National Security Advisor. So these are the 3, none of them is under us. However, we can come in if we are required. How can we come in? We can come in by looking at the fact that we regulate the technology. Regulating the technology does not allow you directly to regulate the content. The content lies with these 3 institutions. Fake news should go to Information and Culture, NBC and others, including NOAA. Illegal content Attorney General is there. He is the one who has the mandate to categorize this is legal and this is illegal. While crime, there is Cybercrime Act 2015, is 100% under the Office of the National Security Advisor. In fact, Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is not even a member of the Cybercrime Council. There is even a council addressing we are not even members. Our main work is to regulate the technology, but regulating the technology, we are not allowed to regulate the sector, the content. However, the way we can come in, any one of them who identifies a content that is either fake news or illegal or a crime can reach right to Mr. President. When Mr. President approves, we will be directed to ensure that the content is no more online. So this is where we can come. I will give you a simple example. When some people who are promoting hate speeches, committing crime in Nigeria, using social media, government advised them to detain from doing that. They failed to. Minister of Information and Culture briefed Mr. President, and Mr. President gave him a chance to engage them. They were engaged by government. They failed to comply. They were even promoting how to destabilize Nigeria. Mr. President was convinced beyond reasonable doubt. Through what? Through our elder brother, Alhaji Muhammad, who happens to be in charge of fake news and also hate speeches. What happened? He only obtained the approval of Mr. President that what was being promoted is against this and this and this in National Broadcasting Commission Act and in this and this law, Mr. President approved and was conveyed to us. And we immediately shut down a social media platform in Nigeria for almost 1 year. Until we gave them conditions and they accepted all the conditions in writing. Then Mr. President approved again for them to be unblocked. Then we were directed to unblock them. And this is what we did. But how can a Minister of Communications be monitoring fake news? Then where is the Minister of Information in charge of media? If you anticipate me to regulate legal content or illegal, where is the Attorney General of the Federation? His ministry is the only one recognized constitutionally. All ministers are constitutional, but only Ministry of Justice is a ministry recognized constitutionally. But how do you expect me to say this is legal and this is illegal while you have the chief legal officer to the federal government of Nigeria? How do you expect me to say this is a criminal? Where is police DSS? Where is military? Where is National Security Advisor's office? How can a Minister of Communications sit down and say this is crime, this is not crime? We should be fair to ourselves. Our only work, when Mr. President approves, then we can be directed to implement. But we don't have anything to deal with content. The same observation you have with regards to illegal, crime, and many more, I have the same observation. And I'm very uncomfortable as a Nigerian, but I don't have the mandate to do anything. My only mandate, when these institutions obtain an approval, then I can be directed to implement. So the problem is not with the technology. Our work is technology. Any technology to be imported to Nigeria, this is where our role is. We give type approval. You cannot import mobile phone or computer or any communication device without our approval. We only approve the technology. We give type approval. If type approval is granted either by NCC or NIDA with regards to their mandate, then that technology can be imported. But content online, it is not in any way our own mandate, and we have nothing to do. And no institution has obtained Mr. President approval for any content that should not be online where we fail to take it off. It has never happened. Our own work is to implement. We regulate technology, but we don't regulate content online. And whenever it is approved, we'll implement. The second question, with regards to the policy of NIN and SIM registration being implemented, and some people are still committing crime. I have answered that one superficially in the first part. This falls under cybercrime. Cybercrime is under the Office of the National Security Advisor and other security institutions. Our role is cybersecurity, to ensure we minimize the possibility of a criminal deploying the technology to commit crime. So our work is proactive. And at the same time, if the crime is committed and our intervention is required officially, then we will be able to intervene. So here, when it comes to minimizing the probability of criminals committing crime, we reintroduce the national NIN and SIM registration. Two, we enforce the NIN registration. NIN registration is, by our law in Nigeria, NIMC Act 2007, is mandatory for all citizens. Mandatory. Check section 27 of NIMC Act. And failure to obtain NIN is an offense. Look at the punishment in section 27 and 28. So what we did is not in any way introducing new thing, but rather enforcing an existing legislature which had been in place 13 years without critical implementation. So our only crime here is we have enforced the law that has been ignored for 13 years. If you can call that a crime, this is what you may wish to say. The law of NIMC Act makes it mandatory even for a newborn baby. That newborn baby must be enrolled within 180 days. If his father fails to enroll him, it's an offense. He can either be fined or be imprisoned, or both of them. It's there in the law. So my only problem with people is the enforcement of the law. As long as there is law, I will continue to enforce it under my supervision. If you don't want it to be enforced, it is better for the law to be scrapped completely so that we cannot have any problem. My brother, with regards to the criminals, the allegation of criminals using SIM to make phone call. Firstly, I want you to know that from the time we introduced the policy to date, no crime has been committed in Nigeria in which any security institution reaches out to us for intervention by providing the biodata or providing the location where we have failed to provide. It has never happened to me as a minister. If there is any letter from any government official that has been acknowledged by my office and I have failed to produce, let that letter be made public to you or to Nigerians to see. It has never happened. Secondly, as I said, it's not our work to categorize this is a crime or this is not a crime. It's for security institutions. As far as we are concerned, the information and conversation of each and every citizen in Nigeria must be confidential, based on our constitutional provision, Section 37. However, in Cybercrime Act 2015, there is a provision of lawful intercept. Lawful intercept can only be conducted by security institutions, not by us. When two conditions are fulfilled, number one, security institutions should establish prima facie case that we have a high probability expectation that crime has been committed by this guy. Secondly, that request must be formalized to us, and the person to formalize should not be a minimum of a director, either in police, DSS, NIO, or any other institution. When these conditions are fulfilled, we are mandated by law to provide the information required. If my relative is kidnapped today, as a minister, I have no power to access the database because the conditions is establishing prima facie case. I am not in charge of that. Secondly, the person to sign must be a minimum of a director in the security institutions. I am not in that position. So even if I'm affected, I have to formalize. When they send officially, then we can do. So what we did, if you look at our priority areas, nothing has been mentioned out of it with regards to even cybercrime or cybersecurity. But in order to be proactive and minimize, we have established Cybersecurity Incidents Response Team under NCC in 2022. The center is effective, releasing advisory notes to our citizens, alerting them about potential attacks. Number two, we have integrated computer emergency response and readiness team under NITDA. And these two centers are working 24/7, alerting Nigerians and other government institutions about potential cyber attacks on our cyberspace. This is our role, proactive. But when a crime is committed, it's outside our mandate. That one should go to security institutions. Furthermore, in few instances where we have been contacted, in all of them, we have provided the required support. And I'm glad to say in all of them, our intervention supported government in intercepting the alleged criminals. There is a good example in Kano when an elderly person was kidnapped in one of the northwestern states, taken to Kano. We were contacted, even though they were not using his phone, but we provided the location and security institutions intercepted and arrested him. In Abuja here, there are two major instances, and there is even a third one. The third one, FCT minister liaised with the security. There was a threat to one of our traditional rulers in Abuja. Within 60 minutes, when he reached out to me and he engaged security institutions, we provided all the information required. So we are not in any way a security institution. You cannot come to us with a mobile phone and say, please, let me have the biodata. If we are allowed to do that, then the confidentiality is going to be abused by many citizens. So there is a criteria to it. And this criteria is not 100% under us. Our only work, when the conditions are fulfilled, we provide. And thirdly, criminals today, they hardly use their phone numbers. When they kidnap someone, they use the telephone of the kidnapped, not their own. So in few instances, when the conditions are met and we verified, we found out that the kidnapped, his phone was being used to call his relatives. However, if our intervention is required, we will be able to narrow out the area where the phone call is coming from, and that will seriously and significantly minimize the challenge to security institutions to know that this is the location where the call is coming from. Even in that regard, whenever we are contacted, we provide what is required. It is not my work to assess the work of our security institutions. They are doing the best they can, and I always give them my support, and I pray to the Almighty to continue to support them to make our country very stable and secure for all citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. It is this side where the industry of fake news is, this side. This is the minister that has been fighting fake news for more than 7.5 years. On a more serious note, I never knew a day would come when the media will be so concerned and be so worried about fake news. Absolutely. Because when this issue started, I remember in 2017, we devoted an entire National Council of Information in Plateau State, Jos, to address this issue. We were lambasted and lampooned by the same media that we should face other serious issues, that fake news is not our problem. In 2018, we decided to take this battle to every media house to seek their support. A few signed on. But by the time the media took it seriously, it had become a monster that is now even affecting the credibility of the mainstream media. We still continue and will continue to fight fake news. And I'm glad that more and more we are getting your support. Only last week, a veteran journalist wrote an article in which he asked, what is Big Brother doing? And I just laughed. Same veteran journalist, one of those that attacked us over, he tried to, fight fake news. And like the Minister of Communication said, when the Twitter platform became the platform of choice to destabilize Nigeria, yes, I went to Mr. President and sought his approval and permission to allow the Ministry of Communications to intervene. And the platform was shut down. But what was your response, media? You are being the hell out of me. You thought the world was going to fall down, that the president of the world. How can you shut down Twitter? This is barbaric. You are stifling, the freedom of the press, blah, blah, blah. Today, Nigeria remains the only country in the whole world that has successfully tamed Twitter. Thank you very much.
I'm afraid because of our time. Okay. Okay, let's have it.
Thank you so very much for being on our feet, the Honorable Minister. My name is Glory Ohagu. I talk the voice of Nigeria. Yes, please. Thank you for showing us the roadmap to reducing the price of 1 gigabyte from 1,000 200 to 350 before the set time. But we're worried. We're worried about the cost of this reduction to the expenditure of the ordinary Nigerian who is depending on internet services for daily living, for work, for telemedicine and all. The space of drop times and yet at the same cost. We have a Skylink and yet you're opening one page for 20 minutes, you can't download. We've transited from 3 gig to 4 gig, we're heading to 5 gig, and the speed is still the same, and yet the price has been reduced. But we are not feeling the impact of this price reduction. So, sir, with all those things that you have put in place, how do we enjoy the benefits of this reduction and the Skylink penetration? Because when I go to Ogu in Enugu State, my ancestral home, I'm almost at zero on Glo and MTN. When I go to Uyo, my maternal home, for holidays, I am undulating like I'm going through the potholes of certain parts in Nigeria. So how do we get to feel this impact and input? Thank you once again. I love your presentation. After transiting from NITSDA to where you are, we didn't expect anything less, but we won't stuck with you. We must get value. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister, sir. Your response. Thank you very much, my sister Gloria from the Voice of Nigeria. Firstly, I hope that your statement was you couldn't feel the impact, not we. If we say we, I am part of we, and I'm feeling the positive impact. Particularly, I still use my money to buy credit and make phone call and browse internet, the same with all other Nigerians. I have not allowed any telecommunication company to give me 1 naira of broadband or 1 naira to make a call since I became a minister. It's a tradition that was practiced in Nigeria, but I stopped it. If there is one company that has ever transferred 1 naira to my phone, they may wish to make it public. I'm using my salary, the same with all other Nigerians, to buy credit and make phone call and also browse using my telephone. As I'm here with internet, I'm using my money and I'm feeling the impact. Secondly, about the issue of our quality of service, I agree with you that in some parts of the country, we do experience poor quality of service. And I'm always on the neck of NCC. I always challenge them to discover what are the problems. Our recent findings show that our findings since 2019 to date remain the same, that the challenges affecting quality of services are completely outside our sector. Number one is the issue of power, national grid. If you look at the facilities that we approve through time approval, all of them are of global standard. There is no any facility in the telecommunications sector today in Nigeria that is substandard. We have never in any way compromised the global standard when it comes to time approval. So this issue has been addressed. The second issue, these facilities, based on how they have been manufactured, they are supposed to function on national grid. Today in Nigeria, they are being powered by generators. As I earlier mentioned, we manage 32,800 generators in order to sustain the sector. If we are on national grid and the power is off, then your phone should be the same with your radio or television. When there is no power, your television is off until you on your generator. But today, the power is on and off, but still you can make a phone call. Why? Because the facilities are being sustained by generators 24/7. So any technology you develop, inbuilt to be sustained by national grid, and you are sustaining it through generator, definitely it will affect the quality of service, undoubtedly. This is outside our mandate. And I believe this administration has achieved a lot, particularly in the last 1 year, in order to ensure we increase power generation, power distribution, power transmission. A lot has been achieved. And facilities are being imported into Nigeria. Even today, in media's platform, the Minister of Power shared some major achievements of this administration through the importation of certain facilities in order to increase our power generation, transmission, distribution, and many more. So it is work on progress. I strongly agree with you. Whenever there is a significant improvement on national grid and our facilities are on national grid, definitely the quality of service will automatically enhanced. Will automatically be enhanced. Issue number 2 is the issue of vandalization of infrastructure, particularly fiber optics cable. Through road constructions, bridge constructions, building constructions, building stadium, airports, and many other infrastructure. In the process of doing that, our telecommunication infrastructures are being damaged. That is why yesterday I obtained an approval of the Federal Executive Council for national DIC-1 policy to ensure that in our design and construction of any infrastructure, whether road, stadium, airspace, any important building, there must be a provision of ducts, so that through that ducts, we will be able to be laying our cables. And by implication, the cables will not be damaged during road construction. Only yesterday, Federal Executive Council has approved it. So when there is any damage in fiber optics, it will not stop the service immediately, but rather it will switch all the traffics from the damaged cable to another cable that has not been damaged. For example, you have a double lane road, and accidentally there is an accident, or let's say maybe road construction on the other side. Then it happens that going and coming back, both of them are using the same lane while the other one has been blocked. Will the traffic be normal? Will you be able to drive on the same speed if both of them are open? It will not be possible. So it is the same with our facilities. If one fiber optic is damaged, it will automatically switch all the traffic from that one to the nearest one that is available. So if there is 1 million traffic on one, 1 million in the other, now this one is damaged. All the 1 million traffics of this will come back to the next one. So now this will be taking care of 2 million people instead of 1 million. So that will automatically bring down the quality, because the traffic in one lane is too much. So this is what is happening. So if the issue of damaging infrastructure is reduced, then definitely the quality of service will be enhanced. In only 1 year, we have reported cases of damaging fiber optics in over 13,000 locations in Nigeria. Over 13,000 locations. And some people will even come and cut off the fiber optics still and go away. This is being reported, and this will definitely affect the quality of service. Instead, when they are constructing roads, they don't even notify us, come and take your fiber optics. They will come and cut them all, and they will proceed with their construction. They don't care what will happen. What are you expected to do in that regard? And none of them will provide even 1 naira for you to fix it. The same burden will go back to the operators. I don't know any responsible country where this has been happening today. So that is why, before sometimes we even talk about government, we should try to be more responsible as citizens. Making Nigeria a better place is a collective responsibility. Government will lead, there is no doubt, but all of us must change ourselves. When I have 2 weaknesses and I address one of them out of 2, for example, at least Nigeria is 1 problem less. If you have 1 and you address it, Nigeria is 1 problem less again. So if we agree that we are not infallible, we are willing to make adjustment and make this country a better place, there is no doubt we can achieve it. But there is no way where we agitate for positive change and none of us is willing to change. That is impossible. We cannot go anywhere. Secondly, I have been requested to inform you that 2 of the CEOs are not here yet. I have directed them to represent us in the State House for an ongoing meeting about the project to be commissioned in the digital economy sector by His Excellency Mr. President in Kano on 30th and 31st January. So now there is an ongoing preparatory meeting. I had to tender my apology in the State House to send the DG of NIDA Kashifino Abdullahi and MD Galaxy Backbone Professor Muhammad Bello Abubakar to lead the team of government officials there so that I will be here without requesting my elder brother to reschedule the discussion. That is why they are not with us here.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Gentlemen of the media, this is the most for today. We want to thank you for your time. We thank the Honorable Minister for sharing those useful information. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this engagement. Thank you and God bless you. May we please rise as we take the national anthem, please.